All right, and welcome to the nastiest, dirtiest, darkest, muddiest, most disgusting, infectious piece of shit podcast that has ever existed since the dawn of humanity. I'm here. I'm here with a totally new guest. I usually have Joe on the show. Every once in a while, I have somebody else on the show. His name is Carl. Carl, say hi.
Hi.
And Carl has been very successful recently in getting a lot of these things done, like the W8-BEN. He's come across some difficulties getting some of this stuff done, which I know. Just a little background as to why I'm bringing Carl on the show. So I've collected a lot of information from all the people who are doing all these different processes, and I would say about half the people or so. They either just don't know or they just follow directions and they no longer have taxes taken out of their paycheck, and the W8-BEN and everything is totally fine and it's very simple. And then I'd say the other half is some kind of lesser or greater difficulty getting it done. Either the bookkeeper is an idiot, which is very, very common, or HR, they're idiots, which is very, very common, or the accountant is an idiot, which is also extremely common, right?
What I came across.
Yeah, and then so it's one of those things where you have a situation where how do you handle that, and how do you successfully get over the hurdles associated with that particular problem? And Carl had put a couple of comments on some of my posts, and I was really impressed because it sounded like he had handled the situation in a way that was both very professional, very non-combative, and also effective. So that's why I'm bringing Carl on the show. The comment that I had seen, let me see if I can pull it up. I think it was something along the lines of, between him and his wife, they are saving $2,000 a month in the money that they have coming in. Is that right, Carl?
Absolutely. One of my comments was that not only are we not having anything withheld anymore tax-wise, we canceled our health insurance. It's $600 a month that we haven't used in 5 years.
That's a lot. Yeah. Carl, can you bring the camera down just a little bit? We can only see your nose. Up a little bit. Try up. There we go. Right there is perfect.
Okay.
All right. So let's start this out. Go ahead and tell me when you found my material, when you signed up, where you started watching the Chris Houser videos, stuff like that. Give me a little bit of background on when you started getting into all this stuff for me, please.
Okay. About 5 years ago, I was actually with a biker group, and I started doing things like open carrying, having a pretty big knife on my hip, and everybody kept giving me shit. You're going to get arrested. You're going to cause crap to happen. So I started reading into state laws, Constitution, figuring things out for myself. And then after that, I started watching cop watch videos, and I just saw that there was this huge disconnect between the people and the officials. And it was very confusing because I thought, the Constitution says what it says. Why are all these things happening to people? So that's when I started digging in more, going on YouTube, came across Chris Houser, came across David Straight. That really sparked my interest and my passion, and I really dug into that every day for hours whenever I could, listening to podcasts, learning what they're saying, researching the information for myself, making sure it was legit, and come to find out there was a whole different world out there that I didn't understand. So I just kept digging, kept going, and then a friend sent me a podcast that you did. And what I thought was great listening to you was you put it in a way that people can understand. A lot of people use really big words. You got to get into Black's Law to understand that shit.
Yeah.
And it's really time consuming. Where you put it across where you cut through the shit. You connected the dots, you put the puzzle pieces together. Because all this information that I learned was just puzzle pieces here and there. I couldn't make the connections. That's where you came in. You started making those connections.
Out of curiosity, which podcast did you see of mine?
I don't remember. It was pretty random. I woke up, got a text, started listening, and I was thinking this guy knows what the fuck he's talking about. So then I looked up your website. First thing I thought was, what the fuck is this? Oh, what am I going to get into? I clicked on this shit. And then I started, and it totally made sense. So I jumped right in, signed up for your contract killer course. And every time you sent a video, I listened.
So you did that? You did one video per day, or you did like maybe waited a few days and did a couple, or how'd you do it?
Every day you sent me a video, I listened to it that day.
Okay.
Still doing so. And every step that you took in the videos, I took the step same day.
Okay, good. So, have you finished the course?
No, I'm on 30, I believe.
30. Okay, good. So, okay, great. So, you were referred to me by somebody else who shared a podcast. You're not sure which one it was. Was it the Dangerous World podcast with Ryan something by chance? Was it with one person, or was it a whole bunch of people on the podcast, like a round table?
You and one other person. It wasn't the round table.
Okay. I think I know. I think that was the Dangerous World podcast one, because that one's my favorite one that I've done. So that's probably what it was.
One of the things that was holding me up taking steps was I was being cautious. I was thinking I should get this done before I do this. And in that podcast, you're like, you know what? Today, right now, you can go ahead and submit your W8-BEN, your Form 56, and just get this shit taken care of. So I did it.
Yeah. Great. Now let's get into in as much detail as you can possibly give the people listening to this thing, because I'm starting to get a lot of traffic on YouTube. So this video could get thousands, not like tens of thousands, but thousands of views. Okay. Can you walk us through? Can you walk everybody listening to this through like the whole process, like step by step, even like little things, like every single little detail, as much as you possibly can of what you experienced with this?
With what in particular?
Submitting the W8-BEN. I know the Form 56 is uneventful. No one's going to have anything. You just do it, you send it in, and then that's it. That's really simple. But the W8-BEN, explicitly in relation to your, like what you said, what they said, when you sent something in, I physically saw them this day, I mailed something this day, I did this, they were afraid, they were scared, they were mad, they were this, they had just the whole interaction between you and your employer. That'd be great.
Okay. I mentioned it to my employer. She thought I was full of shit. So I sent her what I thought was the shortest and easiest video to comprehend the form, which was Chris Houser.
Yeah.
He goes step by step. He shows you. I sat down with the form and went through with the form with Chris and looked up everything that he mentioned so that I understood it. I wasn't just copy and pasting. I sent that video to my employer. She watched it and she said, "Holy shit, is this real?" And I said, "Absolutely. I'm going to be handing this form to you tomorrow." She looked it over, sent it to HR payroll. I waited about 5 days because I knew they were going to be confused as fuck. And then I asked my employer what they said. And she said that they were really confused. They'd never seen it before. They had no idea what to do with it. Give them a few more days. So I gave them a few more days. During that time, I got to whatever video it was you sent me for the contract killer course. And then you mentioned, oh yeah, same day you should probably mail out your Form 56, which I hadn't done yet. So I did it immediately that day. Going through the form, the W8-BEN, I probably took more time doing it than I needed because I wanted to make sure everything was correct. I probably went through 4 of the forms because I was like, fuck it, I'm not scratching anything out. It's got to be all legible. So then I heard back after a few days from payroll that they had a team looking over the form because they still had no idea what the fuck they're doing. So I called and they refused to talk to me. And I said, "How are you refusing to talk to me? This is my information." they said they had to go through my employer to get her on the phone. She's a busy lady, so I just kind of texted back and forth between her. I said, they're having a really hard time with this form. Could you please contact them and give them permission to talk to me, because I need to talk to them. So I called them back again the next day. They still refused to talk to me about it. And I have to say, in general, killing people with kindness is going to get you way further than getting upset, pissed off, and making them not want to help you. So
yeah, thank you for saying that.
Anytime I talk to any of these people, professional, kind, thank you for your time. Go ahead and put me on hold. I got all day. Take your time. No rush. If you need to call me back tomorrow, that's no problem either. And hearing that on their side of the end, that they were totally appreciative of that. And after I said that, they were more willing to help me.
Totally. 1,000%.
Anytime you're dealing with these people because they're idiots, pretty much, got to have some patience, got to have some understanding, and care about them as an individual. Because at the other end of this, they may see this form and say, holy shit, I've never seen this before. Is this legit? Can I do this myself?
Yeah, exactly. So you're giving them an opportunity to make more of us through the process itself.
Right, exactly. So handing them a pile of shit is going to turn them off, and they're not going to want to move forward in any way. So I talked to them the second time, and I said, okay, you can't talk to me, but could you just pull up the form and look at it and tell me what you think? And they started asking questions like, what is the brackets around the zip code mean? Really simple stuff. And I explained it to them. I walked them through it. They still couldn't talk to me about the process, but they listened to me. So then when I got off the phone with them, I reconnected with my employer. She talked to them again and said they're starting to understand this. And that's when I said, have them call the IRS. They're there to help.
Yep.
So then I called the IRS and I clicked on as a business through the automated service. But I'm not a business, I'm an individual. They immediately asked me for my business number. I said, sorry, I don't have that in front of me. I can give you my information. So they took my social security number and my name. They pulled it up. And then they said, well, since you didn't give us your business information, we can't talk to you about this. I treated them with kindness and respect. And I said the same thing to the IRS as I said to payroll. Just pull up the form and look at it. Tell me what you think. And then they got into questions like, do you have a visa? Who's the other person on this form? And that's when, with kindness, I said, well, those don't apply to me on this form. I would like some help on your end. Could you call payroll and talk to them? They never said no. They never disagreed.
Now, wait a second. How did the IRS have a copy of your W8-BEN? Did the payroll company give it to the IRS?
They sent it to the IRS because they were confused as shit.
I see. Okay. Because it's not really supposed to go to the IRS, but I understand now.
That's when I checked in with the IRS and asked them if they received my Form 56, because I never got a return receipt through certified mail. They had that as well. So I asked them to pull that up. They looked at both. Wouldn't give me really any feedback, but he definitely heard what I had to say. And I gave them the payroll department's name and number. I asked them if they could please contact them. They never said no. And I said, thank you for your help. I have to go. I had to clock back in for work. So I hung up. About 3 hours later, my employer came to where I work, the building that I was in.
Sorry, you cut out there. You said how many days or hours later? Your connection is not wonderful. It's like kind of... It's not terrible. It's like a 6.5 out of 10, by the way.
Yeah, I'm in a bad spot. I apologize.
Maybe we can move you a little bit. Can you move at all? Even if it's maybe a little bit noisier, we can try it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a few hours later.
Oh, wow. A few hours later?
A few hours later. It was the same day. My employer came to me where I was at and said that payroll talked to the IRS, and the IRS told them it was a thing, and they could stop withholding.
Wow. They didn't. There was no additional information. Just this is real. This exists, and they can stop withholding. Just that simple.
That was it.
And they didn't ask the IRS any questions. They didn't do anything. They didn't. There's just no other interchange at all whatsoever. It was just this kind of hush hush kind of.
On my side, I don't know any of that stuff. That's what my employer told me, that the IRS said it was a thing, that I could do it, and to stop withholding.
Wow. And have they been weird about now? When did they stop withholding? 10 days ago? 14 days ago?
10 days ago.
Okay, 10 days ago. Has there been have they issued you any paychecks that show no? What do the paychecks look like? What does it look like?
Not received my first one yet. I will get paid this coming Thursday, so I will see what damage or not has been done, as far as if they're still withholding something somewhere.
Yeah, I've had some reports that there's still a little teeny bit withheld for little teeny things, and then I'm just not sure exactly how all that works. But I think with the W8-BEN, it eliminates all the little ones too. I don't know, but anyways. Have they been weird about it? Have they asked you anything about it? Has anybody mentioned anything about it since that point? Or has it just been this total hush-hush, like nothing happened, just move on with life kind of a deal?
Exactly. Nothing has been said. I haven't really reconnected with my employer about it either, because I'm just sitting on it, waiting patiently, see what's going to happen. Once I get my pay stub, I'll look it over, and then I'll go talk to my employer, because then I'll have it in hand and see it.
Yeah, I guess if you get your pay stub and there's just absolutely nothing on it, and it just says hours and here's your money, then I guess there's nothing to talk about. You're all set.
Right.
Yeah.
Plan.
Wow, 600. So you and your wife both had insurance plans, and it was 300 each, or how did that work?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so you had so 2,000, so 600 would be 1,400. So you guys were getting. So $700 a month a piece. So $700 for you and $700 for her were both just straight up taxes that you guys are now going to have access to every month.
Yes.
And then an additional 300 each, 600 total was the health insurance, of which you took that out. So that's the breakdown of what equals the $2,000 a month additional.
Right.
Now, let me ask you this. If you don't mind talking about it, if you don't want to talk about it, it's fine. How much do you make total in a month before this change?
About $1,100, $1,200 a month, each of us.
11 a piece.
A piece.
So, holy fuck. So you guys basically literally doubled your income.
Yes.
Holy shit. Now, how does that change your lifestyle, quality of life, and what you guys are doing with your money? Would you feel comfortable giving us a breakdown on the economic side of how your life, well, you haven't gotten paid yet, but obviously like this is happening because you can tell like everyone's on the same page. So is there like plans or talks of what you're going to be doing with that? Or is there any changes that you're planning on or doing now that you're in this new condition?
The biggest one is we can move forward with becoming state nationals, because there's cost involved in that. You know, you got to print out multiple copies, or not print out, but order multiple copies of your birth certificate, have all that taken care of. Make sure all your documents are straight. We're going to be mailing all those off. We're going to have to pay for our passports expedited. You know, that's extra cost that now is not a problem.
I love it. Now, another thing that I think is interesting is with your wife, did you guys watch all this and do all this together, or did you do it and then you told her about it and then she got into it? Like what is your relationship in terms of this whole thing with your wife? Because I get a lot of questions on this. I get a lot of people contacting me saying like, the wife's really into it and she's trying to get the husband into it and she's struggling, or vice versa. I get a lot of that kind of thing. So I guess like what have you experienced with that, and what kind of like tips or whatever would you have for somebody who might fit the category of the husband's really into it, but the wife hasn't been presented to it yet. He's not sure what to do, like that whole kind of dynamic.
I get what you're saying. I'm pretty damn lucky. My wife is amazing. I love her to death. She 100% trusts me. So anything I have to say to her, she hears me out. She does her best to comprehend what I'm saying, and she supports me 100%. So I haven't had any backlash in that department. I would say the only thing that is a disconnect for us with this is that a lot of things I talk about, he doesn't understand. So it just takes more time to sit down, which is hard to do with 4 kids and a full-time job, and explain.
Oh, wow. You have 4 kids. Wow. Okay.
4 daughters, 19, 12, 10, and 3.
Wow.
So me going through all this, I literally, which I explained to you before, I wake up, I set an alarm, and I wake up at 3, 4 a.m. every morning and dedicate as much time, 2 or 3, 4 hours, to reading, listening, researching, and moving forward. My best advice is, if you're talking with somebody who doesn't get it, or it's annoying maybe, because sometimes I annoy the shit out of my wife when I talk about this all the time, is when you see disconnect, or they're getting frustrated, or you're causing some cognitive dissonance, to just back off and give it a few days.
Very good. That's genius. Okay.
Give them some time to marinate on it and give it some thought, and then come back to the table and say, hey, remember what we were talking about a few days ago? Have you given that some thought? What do you think?
That's fantastic, because it sounds like you do kind of the same thing with your employer and with the PR or the payroll as well. It sounds like you kind of use that same tactic.
Right. Because there also has been other people that, I've pissed off blatantly. I start talking about this stuff, and they're like, shut the fuck up. You were talking about this before. I don't believe it. You're full of shit. That's a conspiracy theory. And I had to back off. And then a few days later, I'll reconnect with them, kind of bring it up. And there's those people that just get pissed off and don't want to hear it. And you just got to say, you know what? I tried, and let it go.
Oh, just as a tip from those people will float back around again. It could take a year or two, but you'd be shocked by how many of those people. You'd be shocked by what's behind that anger and that frustration, and you'd be shocked to find that they've actually looked at this before and they got scared and something happened, and you're just kind of running up against some stuff. And then as you continue and as you have successes, they'll come back to you later. I've had that happen a bunch of times, so I can speak on that part specifically. What tips or recommendations would you have for people who submit the W8-BEN and then they don't hear anything back? They don't hear anything yay or nay, and they never follow up, they never do anything, and they just kind of just don't do shit and just kind of assume that it didn't work or something like that.
Sounds like to me they're just giving up, which is unfortunate. Doing this stuff, I found that you just got to have persistence. The only person standing in your way is yourself, is what I found. Nobody has stood in my way to any of the things that I've done. Mm-hmm. Nobody said, we're not going to let you do that. Or, I've been called crazy and stupid and been told it's illegal and I can't do it, but nobody's actually stopped me from doing anything.
Do you work for in your opinion, do you work for a small company, a medium company, or a large company?
Small company. It's a private small company. I'm a sub-director of a preschool daycare. I think we've got 25 employees.
Okay.
It's definitely a small business, very tight group. We consider each other family. which probably gives me a more wiggle room when I talk to coworkers about this because they know me personally.
Has that kind of dynamic at your job created a lot of interest in this subject, or people coming to you, or any sort of like buzz regarding all of this?
It's a hit or miss. I've got a few coworkers that are interested, but basically they told me that it's too much time for them to handle, and they just want me to do it for them.
Well, you could charge them for it.
Right. Well, what I explained to them is, yeah, I can do it for you. Absolutely. I'll even do it for free. But what's going to happen is down the road, you're just going to get yourself right back into the contracts that I got you out of.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah.
What the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. No, I understand that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's, have you, what has been your experience with sharing my information? My website and all my stuff just drives them mad or away, or they think it's crazy, or
They'll
what?
come back to me the next day and go, "What the fuck was that? What did?" I absolutely love it. I love your sense of humor and your approach to this. And I tell them, just give them a shot. Give them 15 minutes.
Yeah.
What you think?
Yeah. Are any of them doing the course or anything, or they just get blown out of the water immediately?
I've probably sent your course to 50 people, and I think one of them has followed through.
And when you say followed through, you mean like watched anything or everything? Because I'm thinking just if they just start it.
They watched the podcast that you have on the main.
Oh, actually, yeah, that's great. Okay.
Right? They watched a couple of those, but then when I tell them, hey, did you see the Contract Killer course? Click on that. Or I'll send them that link directly and say, sign up. And they're like, oh, he's going to send me a bunch of shit. They're going to take my information, the usual bullshit. But I tell them I'm, this far into it. It's legit. You'll learn some stuff. It'll change your life. If you have any questions, come to me. But I don't think there's been any follow through on their end.
Yeah, the just to kind of, I did a podcast today with Joe Mobley that I really liked a lot yesterday, and it's not going to be out for like another week or two. That one I think is probably one of my favorites, but my current favorite, the one that I like the most for new people that are have not experienced any of this or seen this information before, is the Dangerous World podcast with Ryan Dean. And it's weird because on my website I had a link to it, and now it says, sorry, this episode cannot be found. So I don't know if maybe Ryan Dean, Dangerous World podcast, I hope he wasn't deplatformed or something like that. That would be sucky.
Love to put it to us, though.
Yeah, I know. Let me see. Spotify. Let me see. There is a chance that good old Ryan might have been deplatformed, and that's why this link is broken. I want to look this up really quick. Dangerous World. No, it looks like it's here. I'll fix that link on my website, but you can use Spotify, and you can look up Dangerous World podcast with Ryan Dean, and I am on episode, let me find it really quick. Episode, I forget.
You singing voice, by the way.
You what?
You have a great singing voice, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Episode 307.
Okay.
That's the one that I have a feeling that's the one that you've heard originally, and I have a feeling that's the one that you might be sharing around, because that one, in my opinion, is some of my best work on podcasts. We had a great... Ryan Dean is a really, really great guy. He's a great host. Not to say that the other people I'm doing shows with aren't great hosts. I just vibe, the vibe between myself and Ryan was just really good. And he was just asking a lot of questions, and he's just a great host. And I just really enjoyed that particular podcast one of my favorite ones. So if anyone is new to this, or they want to share this, or they're not sure how to share this, that podcast, episode 307 of the Dangerous World podcast, is probably the best one to use to share with people who are brand new to this.
I'll look it up and see if that was the one that I was listening to.
Great. And any other tips, any other ideas, anything you want to share on this whole thing?
Yeah, I really appreciate you and what you're doing.
Thank you.
I can't give you enough appreciation and thanks. Doing my digging, I have not come across anybody else who's willing to give out the information that you do the way that you do for free.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there who are in your situation that they work hard, and they're good people, and they have a family, and I mean, doubling your income without any additional work, without any additional anything, just doing what you're already doing.
That's huge.
That's huge.
It's huge. And I think once that the people who I've talked to in the past about it see the results, like you said, they're going to come back. And that's going to give me an opportunity to lead them to where I've gotten to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just doubling your income. And then are you paying sales tax still, or where are you at in terms of sales tax?
I'm in Oregon, so there is no sales tax.
There you go. Okay.
Sales tax on gas, though, but I mean, really can't get out of that.
No, you're not going to get out of that. But yeah, okay. So no sales tax, and then now you're not paying any. You're not paying any. So yeah. So okay. So you're not paying any state tax. You're not paying any federal income taxes. So that's your full income. Oh, prior to this point, were you paying an accountant, or how were you doing your tax returns?
I actually didn't file my taxes for almost 4 years.
Okay.
I went to H&R Block just to check in. It's like, hey, pull up my account and see what's going on. She's like, you haven't paid taxes in this long. They're going to come after you. So I said, well, we'll see what happens. And then my wife filed for me.
Okay. But you were going to pay H&R Block, $400 or whatever to clean all this up for you, or $600 or whatever, right? I mean,
no, I wasn't going to have them do anything. I was just going to keep not paying my damn taxes. and
so
see
funny.
what they were going to do about it.
Yeah, that's so funny.
One thing that I would like to add in my personal life is that, and this isn't for everybody, when the COVID lockdowns first hit, I had already been researching, and I knew about the whole New World Order bullshit. I told my wife we needed to get out of our situation and be more free. So as soon as the lockdowns hit, we sold almost everything we owned, and we bought a full-size truck, 1-ton, 32-foot travel trailer, got out of our apartment in one weekend, and got on the road. Not only did that drop, it cut our rent costs in half. We're paying $1,700 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment, and that went down to $900 a month for a truck and a trailer. So we don't stay in an RV spot. We hang out with friends on the property, or we got a membership to an Elks Lodge, and we'll bounce between the Elks Lodges. But we usually don't stay in the same spot more than a week, 2 at the most.
Wow. And how does that work with the preschool job that you have? What kind of a job do you have?
So I'm a sub-director of preschool, so basically I'm a teacher. So we stay within an hour of our job. So the longest commute we've had is an hour one way, but that's not very often. We're usually 20 minutes away from work. So not only does that save us some money, we're actually going to own what we're putting our money into instead of just giving it up to a rental. And then going through the process that we're going through, we haven't had a residential address in 2 years.
Okay. That's a good way to disconnect.
Right.
I love it.
Our kids absolutely love it.
They love the adventure and the excitement of it all. It's like being in Disneyland every single day, or how do they view it?
That's how they view it.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time outdoors at parks. We get to see family members more often because we're mobile.
And they're like totally unplugged from basically everything.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we don't watch TV. We'll watch movies, as a family, but we don't watch TV. We don't watch the news. We're pretty disconnected.
Wow. That's amazing. And your oldest is how old again?
She's 19. She's got her own place. But she's very soon going to do the same thing we're doing. She's going to get herself an RV and get out of an apartment.
Wow. Well, that's amazing, man. I love this. Any other tips or ideas or things that you think people should know with all this kind of stuff, or any other words of wisdom or motivation for anybody that might be listening to this, who's, because I'm just starting to get some people like you rolling in. This is the first time I'm really getting people who are like, I overcame the barriers and actually succeeded in doing this, and kind of blew through the stupidity and the unknown of this all and made it to the other side. So I'm kind of like, there's not a whole lot of people that I've had contact me over the past several months who fit that category. Not that there aren't people doing it. It's just not people who are like commenting like you are and like giving the details to where I can see that what they're doing. Basically, you're one of the few. So any other motivational words of wisdom or anything like that for anybody?
Put your big boy pants on. It's a tough world. There's nobody going to get you out of this shit except for yourself. If you believe in the Creator or Heavenly Father, pray. He's there to help. And I would say, most importantly for me, my motivation is to help others. What good is it going to do if I don't help others? If I'm just out to... What I've seen a lot of people do is, 1099A, that's going to get me land. That's going to get me a house. That's going to get me a car. Who fucking gives a shit? If you're not helping your neighbor, what is the point of this?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you entirely.
So my motivation personally is to help others. I don't care about the money whatsoever. I'm learning this to get myself free and then to free others.
Yeah, me too. All right, man. Well, this is awesome. Thank you so much. I think this is going to be a huge show in terms of just showing what's going on and helping to motivate others. So thank you so much for coming on the show, man. Really, really appreciate it. I would like you to keep me posted as to what's going on with you. Maybe we'll have you back on the show later.
I would love that.
Depending on what happens. It sounds like this whole thing is just totally under control. It sounds like you're going to get your paycheck and there's just not going to be anything coming out of it. And it's just going to be free sailing from here on out for you. And I'm just really excited about that.
Thank you. I hope so. And I'm looking forward to seeing if they actually do withhold something. And that's where, the motivation comes in. If they are withholding something, I'm going to dig in. I'm going to figure out where that's coming from, why they're withholding it. How can I get out of it?
Yeah.
And once I find out that information and somebody else moves forward and does the same thing, and they're like, hey, why are they doing this? I'll already know, and I can support them in moving forward.
Exactly. Yeah. And I do know that once you have one person doing this in a company, it's going to be the buzz. But once you have 2 or 3 people doing it, everyone's going to jump on board. It's kind of one of those things where they're not going to do it when just one guy's doing it. They're going to do it when 2, 3, 4, 5 guys are doing it, and then that's when it's going to rip through a whole company, and everyone's going to do
Absolutely.
it. And all we need is a handful of those, and then now all their friends are telling all their friends. Because look, you're going to double your goddamn income. This is like insane. This is literally insane. You're never ever ever going to get double your income asking for a raise or doing this. It could take 20 years of working at a company to double your income.
Yeah, if you're lucky. Absolutely.
If you're lucky, exactly. So this is no accounting costs. No bookkeeping costs, no QuickBooks costs, no end of the year headache bullshit, No money coming out, no returns, filing for returns. Did I get the right amount of returns? It's like people don't think, too. It's not just about the money. It's about the headache and the bullshit and the additional expenses. And then one day they send you some bill and you don't know how to deal with it. So you just pay it, but you don't really know where it came from and you don't know how to fight it. That's $1,200 right there. Like, there's a lot of other costs and there's a lot of other things associated with this that a lot of people don't think about until after it's done. And then they get to the end of the year and they see everybody else running around like they're on fire trying to figure all this out. And you ain't got to do shit.
Right.
Yeah,
that's a great point.
You spend that time with your family and not turning in paperwork to your overlords. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
So I love it, man. All right, dude. I'm super excited about you. Thank you so much for coming on. Really excited to see how this goes. Keep me posted, and I'm going to have this show up probably either today or tomorrow. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Peace.
Bye.